Alright, hey guys, this is April 17th, Friday for y'all. What we're going to do today is finish up the lesson from yesterday, and so we will be mainly working out of page 434. And so the first thing to do today is understand how to write the index and the radicand as a fraction. And so what happens is over here, remember the index is going to be the 5, the number on the outside of the radical, and then the radicand is going to be what's underneath the radical. And so to do this written as a fraction, you just take whatever variable is on the radicand, so whatever variable is underneath the radical, whatever exponent is underneath the radical becomes the numerator, whatever the index is becomes the denominator. And so for example, x, the fifth root of x cubed becomes x to the 3/5. And so the 3 just comes to the numerator, the 5 just comes to the denominator, and what comes here is just whatever the base was. So it's an x, so x is your base. And so basically that's going to be the principle. And so we're just going to work some problems and make sure we get that straight. And so for example, looking at 53 through 76, I'll do 53. So 53 says, the square root of 3 cubed. And they want this written using fractional exponents. So first, you can think about, okay, what would my base be? Your base is just whatever is raised to the exponent. And so your base would be 3. So I'm going to do 3 to what exponent? What exponent do I want to put here? I know it's going to be 3 to something. Okay? So for this one, the index is going to be an understood 2. So to do the fractional exponent, it's just the exponent in the radicand as the numerator and the index as the denominator. So the 3 is just going to come as the numerator, and then the 2 is just going to come as the denominator, and so it would be 3 to the 3/2 as my answer. So that would be my answer. So the 3 becomes the base, the exponent 3 becomes the numerator, the index, the 2, becomes the denominator. So that'll give you there. Okay, look at 58. So 58 says the square root of y to the 9th. So again, the index is an understood 2. So the first question is, what is my base? My base is just whatever's the base raised to the exponent. So the base is y. Okay? Then I have to set up my fraction. So remember that the radicand exponent becomes the numerator, and then the index becomes the denominator. So it would be y to the 9/2. Alright, we'll try another one. I'll do, where's a good one? 65. So 65 says the cube root of 19 squared. And so the question is, okay, what is the base? The base is the 19. Then I have to do the fractional exponent. So the index, the radicand exponent becomes the numerator. And then the index, which is the 3, becomes the denominator. So it would be 19 to the 2/3. So that should get y'all, should be fine with that. So that'll get you 53 through 76. Just remember that the base is what you're actually working with on the inside of the radical. Then the exponent of that becomes the numerator, and then the index becomes the denominator. And so that'll take you through 76. We'll move on to the next set of problems, 77 onward. You're just basically going to be actually getting the answer. So you're going to first find the indicated root after expressing the radical using fractional exponents, and then you're going to find the root of it. So first write it as a fraction, and then find the root. So for example, 77 would be 7 squared under the radical. So the first thing I'm going to do is write it in terms of the fractional exponents. So the base would be 7. This 2 is going to come in there. Then the index is going to become the denominator. And so I have 7, 2 over 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reduce the fraction. So notice 2 over 2 reduces, and so that's really just 7 to the first, or just 7. So 7 would be my answer. Because 2 divided by 2 is 1, so 7 is your answer. So 7 to the first power is just 7. So it means 7 is your answer. Alright, look at do 81. 81 says the cube root of 2 to the 9th. So the first thing to do is write it as a fractional exponent. And so 2 is going to be my base. So then the 9 becomes my numerator. The 3 becomes my denominator. And so it's 2 to the 9 over 3. Now 2 to the 9 over 3 reduces. 9 divided by 3 reduces to 3. We go into both of them. And so 9 divided by 3 is just 3. So that's really 2 to the third. Then you actually have to do 2 to the third. So 2 to the third is just 2 times 2 times 2. Because that tells you how many times to repeat it. And so 2 times 2 times 2 is just 8. So 8 will be my answer. So again, take this, set it up as the fraction. So the 9, the 3 with the base. And then once you reduce it, actually divide that out. And then you have 2 to the third. So the 3 tells us to repeat the 2 twice and multiply it. So you end up with 8. We'll look at 91. So 91 says the cube root of a to the 9th m squared. So first we're going to write this as a fractional exponents. And so notice there's 2 of them under the radical. That's fine. Just do them individually. So what we're going to do is do 3. We'll do the base of a first. So do the base of a first, and then set up that fractional exponent. So again, the 9 comes in your numerator, the 3 goes in your denominator, so I add 8 to the 9 over 3. So then do the m, so do the m second. So then do, same way, so do the m as the base, and then do the 12 in the numerator, and the 3 in the denominator. So then just clean it up, actually divide the fraction out, simplify it. So 9 divided by 3 is a to the third. 12 divided by 3 will give you m to the fourth. And since we can't do anything else with that, that's simply your answer. So the first thing you do is just do it step by step. Take your variable, set up your fractional exponent. Under the radicand becomes your numerator, the index becomes your denominator. And then work it through. Reduce it, and that gives you your answer. So variables are going to be simple because basically it's just going to be whatever's left. The numbers you actually have to multiply out and find what your actual root would be. So those should be straightforward, I think. Look at look at 99. Says the square roots of 8 4th, m to the 20th. 8 to the 4th, m to the 20th. So again, you're going to set up your fractional exponents. So we're going to do the number first. So it's an understood 2. So to do that, your base is 8. And then the 4 becomes the numerator, the 2 becomes the denominator. Then for the m is your base, the 20 becomes the numerator, the 2 becomes the denominator. So then just clean it up and reduce the fractions. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that's really 8 squared. 20 divided by 2 is 10, so that's really m to the 10th. Okay, now there's one more step here because the number we can actually go ahead and do the multiplication. So 8 squared tells me to do 8 times 8. So 8 times 8 is 64, so it's really 64 m to the 10th would be our answer because you can actually do 8 squared. And so pretty much they're all going to work like that. The only difference is if, for example, if you had 8 to the 5th there, instead of doing just 8 times 8, you would have to do 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. And so you'll just get bigger numbers that way, but it's going to stay the same way. So always set up the fractional exponents and then reduce it and then work it through, do the multiplication. So that should be, I think, good enough for y'all to kind of get going with it. So what I need y'all to do today is just do finish out 53 through 112 even. So 53 through 112 even, and that will finish us up for this week. And I hope y'all have a good weekend and are ready to go next week.